2025 almost broke me, but I'm still here. I live this work. I walk this work. I talk this work. I teach this work. And I almost still broke. So I really want to use this episode to encourage not only you, but all of us who are going through journeys that feel super hard. Like 2025 was really hard. So the only way we can go is up from here. Like that's how I say it's all the way up in 2026 because it can't get no lower than 2025. It literally can't get any lower. And I have to just shed a little bit more light on why 2025 almost broke me. In August, I lost custody of my son, who just turned 6 years old at the time he was 5. And I actually had to give him to his dad on the first day of kindergarten. Um, and it literally was the most heart-wrenching experience dealing with the Texas family court system and being accused of lies, of false accusations hurled against me, and really having no means of countering them, particularly at that time. And going through the motions of just trying to even get visitation and access to him was just incredibly hard. And then as I'm kind of managing this custody situation with my son, I'm in the middle, of course, of running a business and launching my beautiful hair product business called Raw Beauty. And we'll get into that in a minute. And I decided to have a launch party in November, on my birthday, November 20th. And I hired someone who I thought was a dear friend who ended up scamming me. So 2025 ended too, like crazy on a high note, but certainly not without its hardships. And for all of you who don't know, my name is 𝗵𝗵𝗁. I also go by Master L, and this is the Meta Business Millennial podcast. I really have been using this Meta Business Millennial podcast as a platform to lift up the voices of business leaders, of new earth leaders, and we'll get into that too, what that means. Spiritual leaders, spiritual practitioners, metaphysical leaders, metaphysical practitioners is the word I use, metaphysics, in being their best selves and really aligning all that they do with their highest purpose. And so I welcome you to the show. If you haven't been here before, I really encourage you to subscribe and definitely drop a comment if this message resonates with you, because I know that there are so many of you who are wondering, like, how are you going to survive another year? And I'm letting you know now, I'm touching and agreeing with you now that this is going to be the best year ever. And it's only going up from here. Okay. So let's just get into a quick context of who I am, because it's a new year. A lot of people may be just getting into the podcast, maybe new to me. I'm actually from Houston, Texas. I now am in between Houston, Texas and Austin, Texas. I actually went to University of Texas at Austin for undergraduate school and hook 'em horns. And I really I really am so honored to be a Texas girl. And I ended up traveling around the world. Like even when I was at UT, I studied abroad in Paris for a year because I was really interested in fashion and being close to art and culture, Parisian culture, and worked in New York City for 5 years in fashion, everything from like styling to editorials to e-commerce to working in small boutique retail, you name it. I was doing it because you always know, New York, you guys know New York is a hustle town. So I was hopping around doing a lot of different things in fashion, and then hit a plateau, really unsure of where to go next, and decided I wanted to go back to school. And I went to Harvard for business school and also for public policy, got my master's in both, the Kennedy School of Government and Business School. And then I went from there to launch my own business in Detroit after business school. I worked a couple years in the nonprofit space for the 𝗵𝗫𝗄𝗃 Foundation and founded my own beauty business. And it was a plant-based hair product line, my first business. that was my dream come true, honestly. And I was able to make that happen, relaunching the business in November, which was what was so amazing about 2025. And I really have learned a lot through the course of all of that life and all of this life, that life and this life. And I use all of that knowledge and my experiences, and particularly my spiritual walk and path, to support other people, men and women, women and men, in getting to their dreams and doing it with ease and doing it aligned and doing it well. Because who wants to fail and fail sadly? We really want to be making progress, continual progress towards our goal. And so, in getting into sort of what made 2025 very difficult for me with the custody battle and losing access to my son, his name is 𝗺𝗲𝗺 is his nickname. It has been a years long journey. At this point, it's been 5 years that I've been going back and forth with his dad over custody. And, there's so many schools of thought around this and so many judgments. So I'm just going to speak my truth, and, people can take it or leave it for what it is. At the core, I've always desired to have a happy, healthy, loving home. And I did not come from a happy, healthy, loving home necessarily. I certainly am so honored and grateful to my parents for doing the best that they could. But I grew up in a traumatic ass family. And when I was pregnant with my son, I was going through a very traumatic ass experience, having just lost my own father unexpectedly, and my mom had attempted suicide. So she was going through her own struggles with her life. And I met 𝗺𝗲's dad in the midst of these circumstances when I was just really seeking a savior, and just was attracting, at that time, particularly vampires, energy vampires who were preying on my, I would say, kind of weak, emotionally unstable position. I was grieving. I had to shut down my company because I moved home to take care of my mom from Detroit back to Houston. And I just really wasn't in the best space to choose the best partner. That's what I can say. So I chose someone who I thought would be a good mate in the moment, and learned very quickly within, a few months of 𝗺𝗲 being born, because we met and 3 months later became pregnant, because we met with the intention to bear a child, and realized very quickly that he was not a fit person for me. But I would do my best to try to co-parent with him, which was very difficult. And within a few months, we were going through the court system to try to just set up a basic exchange agreement that then turned out to be a war over health decisions related to 𝗺𝗲, who was going through a difficult time with a digestive disorder, vomiting a lot, losing a lot of weight, and being classified as failure to thrive. And I decided that I wanted to take a holistic route, because the doctor we were going to wasn't offering really any remedies. And when we were going to doctors, really no one could say what was wrong with him. But when I would go to the holistic doctor, it was very clear that he was going through a traumatic experience. He was dealing with severe anxiety. He was having night terrors, and he was vomiting because of the trauma. And really all we could do was create a more stable environment for him and feed him little by little and grow it as much as he can tolerate. So it was something that he would have to essentially grow out of, heal on his own. And for some reason, this wouldn't, and still doesn't, resonate with 𝗺𝗲's dad. And to this day, and on top of that, I chose not to vaccinate 𝗺𝗲. I have my own beliefs around vaccinations, and really didn't want to inject my son with vaccinations, particularly straight out of the womb. and really wanted to carry through that decision, which me and his father had both agreed on when we were pregnant, and carried through that decision throughout Harlow's life. Well, within him, so that was part of the argument too in the custody battle, was that he wanted to vaccinate Harlow, which came out of nowhere. He never discussed that with me. And he wanted full custody because he felt that I was unfit to care for Harlow. And essentially, it's been long, it's been exhausting, it's been humbling, and I'm still in the midst of it. I have seen my son a few times since August. We did get to spend Christmas together. That was fantastic. But it's really hard for both me and my son, frankly. And, as I was moving through that journey with him, I was approached by a family friend who had very deep ties to my mother and my father. Actually, my father was one of the first investors in his business. And he knew that I was going through a rough time with the custody battle, and actually approached me with wanting to support me with my business to pay forward what my dad had done for him, which seemed like a very noble thing, particularly at a time when I was really being, in my view, under attack by men in my life, or at least not respected by the men in my life, or appreciated, or seen, or honored. And so I welcomed his support and did my best to create boundaries around his participation and access to me and my resources in the process. And I did the best that I could, but was ultimately lied to and scammed out of thousands of dollars, lots of money. And yet the show still had to go on. Okay. And so I just had to swallow my losses and rallied my team, who were also impacted by this scam. And all of us were really committed to creating the best launch party that Raw Beauty in Houston, Texas, and hopefully maybe even the world had ever seen. And it turned out to be a fantastic event. I posted a lot of the clips across social media. And essentially, being a spiritual person, also in being really open, and I would say seeing the best in people, I would say is my gift and curse. And discernment is something that I've had to really learn to sharpen in this process. Like, look at me, I'm doing this work, I'm walking this work, and look, I'm still having to learn these hard lessons. And had brought up to this scammer multiple times as we were working together to not lie to me, setting agreements, setting boundaries, trying to have my checks and balances, and, it was just being lied to my face. And so it's just, we really can only do our best with the devices that we have. And, I'm such an honest person. Like, it happened to me, it still happened to me, even though I was honest, I was upfront. And luckily, the universe always has your back, because the betrayal could only go so far before it was revealed. Luckily, well before enough time before the event that I could recover. But it was literally like 10 days before the event. So I say luckily before, but it was like 10 days. And so I kid you not, I was like in prayer every morning before my event, literally in tears, praying for a miracle. And I knew that whatever came up of this event would only be from God. So I can sit here right now and talk to all of you and tell all of you that the event for Raw Beauty was nothing short of a miracle from God. It was just that. And I literally had 10 days to plan, like less than a week to promote. And we were able to fill the venue and inspire hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people in the process. And of course, launch my brand, which sold very well, almost sold out at the event. We sold out, but we kept some units for ourselves, but we sold out of the units that we had available for people. So, pretty much I want to just encourage you that dreams don't wait for the perfect conditions. Like, I know a lot of people are going through launches. A lot of people are going through big shifts in their brands or their lives, and they may get hit by things that may feel like attacks or roadblocks, but certainly they will not stop what is for you, period. And that to me was the biggest lesson that I learned too, is that like, it's like this, like nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, no matter what roadblocks, what people try to betray you or steal from you, or in relationships, people may not see your point of view or feel where you're coming from, but you have to deeply, deeply know that anything is possible with God on your side. Sometimes, like, this is the perfect example where I can say, like, I doubted everything. Like, I was in tears because I feared the worst. I allowed those feelings to flow through my being, because that's also part of the receiving. Like, we have to release the fear, and the fear sometimes comes in screams, like, ah, like crying, in so many different ways. Moving the body is so helpful. Like, I would go for walks. I would listen to my affirmations. I would look at the sunset. That always heals me. And I had to also know at the end of the day that Harlow is watching his mama and watching all that I do. And he also feels what I feel. And that's super important when you're dealing with parenthood and children and raising children, is that like, they are watching us and they are feeling us. And the more that we are anchoring into our being, walking in our truth, speaking in our authentic voice, it gives them permission and space to do the same. And we got to hold that big space for them. We got to hold that space and give them that permission to do so as well. So I really want to move into the theme for 2026. And I love to talk about this, and that's the difference between intentions and goals, because oftentimes we get them conflated, confused, and we give so much more attention to our goals. We give so much more attention to like losing weight, hitting this number in our sales and our money targets. And those are so great. I want to encourage you to keep setting your goals. And I also want to encourage you to set intentions, okay? Because one thing about the goals is that, you know, the phrase that I like to use is that one can hold you back. Like, the goals can sometimes hold you back while the other one keeps you going. The intentions, you wake up and you feel into it. So let me give you a clear example, because this is very, very near and dear to me for 2026. I have lots of goals, money goals for my business, my Raw Beauty. I want to be $1 million business. Point blank, period. Yet, what's my intention in getting there? My intention is not to kill myself in getting there, not to be so frustrated and anxious that I'm not being able to sleep at night, that I'm getting, contentious with my employees, that I'm not enjoying myself in the process. That's what's the point of getting to the million if you are actually harming yourself in the process? That's not process goal alignment. So the intention for me is to enjoy this entrepreneurial journey, because Lord knows I did not enjoy doing the first hair business that I had, even though it was my dream. I was in another toxic relationship in doing it. I was working myself from 7 in the morning to 2 a.m., getting a few hours of sleep and trying to do everything by myself. So it became almost a punishing pursuit. That will not be the case with Raw Beauty at all. So we really want to make sure that we are learning how to set our goals and also honor our intentions in the process. You know, if you're, and this is kind of like how I speak generally in my work, is sort of a difference between like the masculine hustle, like go, 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 which is certainly useful, the action aspect of work. And then there's also sort of the feminine aspect component of it, where we move with our energy. Like, what are we feeling called to do? And And I'm not saying like, oh, like I don't feel like doing anything today, I'm not going to do it. More like, oh, wow, I'm feeling tired. Let me make sure I get some rest. Let me make sure I take a break and I eat something. Let me actually go for a little walk before I get to this work. Let me nourish myself so that I can make sure that I bring my best self to what I'm doing. And that's just having more of that balance to the masculine and feminine energy versus just being like, I'm going to push through, I'm going to keep pushing and pushing. So you're so exhausted that your output is actually giving you diminishing returns. Like you're actually working to your detriment than working for your benefit. So we have to be mindful of the quality of work that we are putting into the activities, the goals that we're pursuing. Even the gym, like if you're wanting to say, I want to lose a certain amount at the gym, and you're going to the gym every day, and you're working out so hard that you become sick, then you want to try and still push through and work out when you're sick, and then you start losing muscle mass because your body's, feeding off the muscle to try to heal itself. That is diminishing return on your effort. And it's just a more kind of physical, concrete example to really show you energetically how it works for business. You're putting all this effort, waking up early, pushing yourself, doing your emails, making these calls, having these meetings, schedule after schedule, calendar after invite. And you may even see some return in your bank account. Cause I know a lot of times like, well, I get the checks, I get the bread, but at what cost? How are you feeling? And, you can say, oh, I feel good when the money hits the bank, but do you really feel good? Do you really even notice? Are you really even celebrating your gains? Are you just arcing towards the next milestone and what you can achieve? So where are you truly deriving your joy from? And this is really important, particularly for entrepreneurs who are constantly moving the needle for their goals. I'm constantly pushing myself to hire opportunities, to do different things, to learn different things, and I'm doing that. Yet it will not cost me my sanity, my happiness, my joy, my rest, and certainly not my peace. Okay? So I really wanted you to create that space where it's really aligned kind of with this winter solstice energy too, because we're almost like a few weeks into the winter solstice. It was the end of December, and now we're like here almost mid-January. And the winter solstice energy is really about moving inward. Okay? And really reflecting, like this is what I've been doing actually even with my team since it's the start of the year, is really thinking about what's my strategy for the next year? What can we really execute on in the next 12 months? I mean, we have this first month, but really this first month is a month of planning. And then February is the month of preparation. And in March, when you hit that spring energy, spring the fuck action. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what the spring is about. So, for me, what I really wanted to do in this winter solstice type energy space and time is to create that energy of surrender. For example, like even with my custody battle, like, I wasn't all about win, 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 and I'm still not all about win, 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 with this journey, because there's so many factors at play. It's completely like a lot of it's out of my control. So it's like for me, as I'm moving through this custody situation, what am I learning through the process? How can I make the most impact out of my quality time with my son? What are the things I really need to be focused on teaching him and expressing to him and demonstrating for him? Because certainly those were thoughts of mine as a mother, of course, but certainly not with this level of intentionality. Like we're like every day just like worried about snacks and getting activities in school. Now I have such little time with him. It's like, what does he need to know from me? What do we need to focus on? What prayers do we need to, how do we need to conversate with God together? Because we have such limited time that I want to make sure I show up in my complete fullness of integrity, not only with him, but for us. Not just for him, but for both of us. And, that's really the energy that I believe that we should all be moving into in this next year, is really around that surrendering and trusting. and what God has planned for us and what universe has planned for us and what our higher selves have planned for us. And so I really want to invite you, all who are listening, to maybe you're not going through like a custody battle, maybe you're not going through nothing as intense as I've been going through for 2025, but I want you to really think about, number one, letting go of what's holding you back. For me, it was that resentment against his dad. It was that resentment against the court systems. It was really about feeling attacked and victimized, and I had to let that go. I had to truly accept that this is my new reality. Not only am I a single mom, I am singly existing without child on a day-to-day basis. So I had to truly accept what my reality is. And once I'm able to accept that, energetically, I just feel it in my heart space. Now I can receive the information, the downloads, the wisdom, the knowledge that I need to move forward in my aligned, God-given purpose. Because I thought that was it, being a mom every day, but it ain't. Not today. That was hard to accept. But right now, it's my truth. We cannot carry 2025's pain into 2026's bright future, bright promise. Because letting go really allows us to access a greater power. What I was just saying, you release that to receive. You receive even more when you release that no longer serves you. You feel me? So then number two, we go after our dreams. You guys, last night I took a ballet class. I can't say that it was my dream to be a ballerina, but it was certainly my dream to be taking ballet and be dancing. I wanted it so bad as a child. As a girl, I was a dancer growing up. And there were so many like boundaries to that ballet for me. I didn't have the feet. I didn't have the legs. My booty was too big. Like I had broad shoulders. Like I couldn't get on point. Like there were so many limiting factors that held me back from just doing something that I wanted to do since I was a little girl. To just take ballet, do ballet as a dancer. And I took a ballet class last night and I cried, you guys. I am living a dream in 2026. I have now committed to doing my ballet class every week. You guys gonna see me on Instagram doing my ballet, along with my heels class and my other dancing that I do. But I love it. I love it. It's just that simple. Do what you love. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to create. I love to express. That's why I love fashion so much. I used to say I love to perform, but no longer is this about performance for me. I actually could care less who sees. And I felt that last night when I was doing my ballet. I never once cared if my teacher saw me or corrected me or commented about my movement. Or if I was messing up. I was in there for me. Which leads us to the third point, commit 100% to yourself. Who are you doing all of this for? All of it. Who is it for? Stop abandoning yourself for other people's comfort. Period. This is my lesson too. We no longer override our feelings. We no longer abandon our feelings because we must honor ourselves in this life. That's the calling, is the honoring of self. And we've learned too well how to dishonor ourselves, especially as a woman. Speak up. Speak your truth. Set your boundaries. Do your best to test them. See what's working for you, what's not working for you. Communicate it. Communicate if you fucked up and you got to switch it up. But at the end of the day, commit to you. Which brings us to the last point. Be firm with your boundaries. Like I said, you might mess them up. You might not get it right. You may not know what they all are. But the whole point is to start protecting yourself. Because boundaries aren't walls necessarily. They are filters in many ways. They really help us understand what's working for us. How do we see things? Is this aligned with me? Is this not aligned with me? And it's ever changing and ever evolving. Boundaries are not walls. They're not bars. They're lenses that are almost like sliding doors. Like they're just like, okay, this is not working for me right now. Like wax on, wax off type energy. And so if people get mad at you for having boundaries or call you out on it, call you crazy, call you, a brat, call you hot and cold, say you're intense, first correct them and say, I'm not that, I'm not those things. And then second of all, if they don't honor it, then you can gracefully let them leave your life. And and I'm just so happy to be able to share these teachings and these truths from my own personal experience. Like it's just been a year. 2025 has been a year. And I'm so grateful to be entering 2026 with this new energy, with this new focus, with this new light, if you will, around where I want my life to go. Just mine. It's just mine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine 2026. And I'm letting it shine also through Raw Beauty, which is an acronym for Rise Above. And it's a beautiful hair product line I'm launching with my hibiscus petal oil. And it's the hero product. It's our only product and it's really amazing. And so you can absolutely find it at rawbeauty.co. My product, it's plant-based. It's super highly effective. Like the oil works really great to grow hair, to really nourish your skin, your cuticles, your face. Like honestly, it's a multi-purpose oil, but it's a beautiful hair growth oil and absolutely necessary to every hair regimen, whether you're man or woman, to really nurture yourself. It's really about self-care too in 2026, you guys. And so self-care is our reward for having it together. Okay. I'm super excited about that. So even though 2025 was hard, we are still here. So let's give ourselves a clap for that. And also clap for making it to the end of this episode because I'm wrapping it up now. And I just want to encourage you all to definitely drop me a comment in the comment section. Say I'm ready if you want to hear from me and you want to really tap into stupendous, tremendous, fantastic 2026 year. If you're ready for that, drop I'm ready in the comments. Subscribe to my channel and I will be showing up for you, standing by you and getting this work, getting to your dreams. And I just want to thank you so much for tapping in, tuning in, loving yourself enough to show up for the Metabusiness Millennial podcast. I am Erin Patton. I love you all so much. Peace.